Broadcasting from Fort Lauderdale, using 50,000 watts of power to serve all of South Florida. We are Big Talk 850, WFTL, Miami, Boca, West Palm Beach.
Sometimes, the hardest thing when you're doing talk radio is to come up with words. Well, not if you know what you're doing. And I never have a problem coming up with words, but I was trying to think of how do you prepare for somebody like Cousin Brucie? And the answer is you don't. You just talk. You just have a conversation as if it's the next guy. It just happens to be the guy that I looked up to as a kid and wanted to do what he did and listened. And I know that there's some things that I've done, at least in my music career in the radio business, that were direct descendants of Cousin Brucie. I mean, the mythology of the way I went about doing some of these things. So again, that's why I'm so excited about it. Now, if you're not from the New York metropolitan area, which is kind of rare, unless you're Parker and you were born here just a few years ago, and that's a whole different story. But it doesn't only apply to people in New York, because there's people that were able to listen to Cousin Brucie on what's called Skip throughout the country. I'll never forget coming down to Miami Beach when I was 11 years old with this same Sinclair radio and sitting at the Fontainebleau Hotel at 11 o'clock at night on the terrace listening to WABC in New York City. And I just wanted to scream out and tell somebody, I can't believe I'm listening to a New York City radio station here in Miami Beach. That's how excited I was.
Broadcasting from a secret ultra-cool South Beach location. Hey, do you think you're the only one that can dream big? Here's Rich Stevens.
Well, listen, while we're on the topic of dreaming big, if you can just stop what you're doing for 1 second and dream big with me, and I take you back in time when there was really only one radio station, and this is what we heard over and over again, that even till today just sticks in my mind and takes me back instantly. Now, of course, when I say drop everything, if you're holding a baby, please don't drop the baby. And if you're driving, please don't close your eyes right now. But you'll know what I mean when you hear this.
77 WABC.
The only difference is it's me talking after that. Normally it would have been Cousin Brucie talking, but before Cousin Brucie even talks, the other thing that you would have heard that would stick in your head like it's stuck in my head for so many years is this.
Testing.
Can't you hear that groovy beat now, baby?
Say, baby, Florida. Yes.
Don't you wanna tap your feet now, baby? Come on, let's go. What a groovy show. Come on and go.
With Cousin Brucie.
See, now I'm getting chills on my arms right now as I'm looking at you and hearing this and watching you. And I mean, this is just, so you'll have to forgive me in advance. Now, I don't know if you realize this, that we've actually met twice before.
But it must have been you were probably 2.5 or 3. Man, no, bring back. When we meet.
Actually, we met once at a place called Palisades Amusement Park.
Hold it. Skip the bother and skip the fuss. Take a public service bus. Public service sure is great. Take you right up to the gate.
There it is, Palisades Amusement Park. And then there's another time we met at a store called Gimbel's in Yonkers at the Cross County Shopping Center. And I don't expect you to remember either one of those, but you gave me, which I still have, a little button that I was hoping to win $50,000 with.
Oh, yeah.
That I never did.
The $50,000 button. But actually, we did give it away. And if we met people on the street, sometimes we gave them a $1 bill. Sometimes we give them another button. Sometimes a Coca-Cola, something like that.
Yeah, it was just an incredible time. And I have to tell you, obviously I was a very little kid, but the impression that you left on me, because I used to, and I know my mother listens to this show, so I have a confession to make all these years later, is I was supposed to have dinner and then go in my room and do homework. But instead, I would go into the bathroom and grab the little transistor radio from the Sinclair gas station and go in my room, close the door, and go under the covers in the bed and listen to Cousin Brucie on ABC.
And now in Spanish, el yi. In French, lo yi. In German, ach hier. In Brooklynese, hey.
With Cousin Brucie.
Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons did that theme for Cousin Brucie back in the 60s, and we've been using it ever since. Hackensack, say baby. Thank you, Hackensack.
Don't you wanna clap your hands now, baby? Come on, let's go.
With Cousin Brucie.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Tens of thousands of people did the same thing. We called that the Pillow Talk Club. Now, I don't know if you remember this. Here's the deal. And things were different those days. It was much more innocent. So the kids were supposed to be sleeping, and I knew they were listening, right? They put the transistor, the 2 to 3 to 5 transistor radio, which we can discuss. There was a difference in who had the 2s and the 3s and the 5s under the pillow. So I came up with something called the Pillow Talk Club. In order to get a card, and there was a reason to get a card, you had to send me 2 feathers from a pillow or a chunk of the vinyl, whatever the heck it was, the non-allergic stuff, right? I got a lot of trouble because of that. Well, on the back of the card, it would say this entitles Rich to the Pillow Talk Club. He's allowed to listen up till a certain time. Then on the back, it said free pass. Dear Mom and Dad, if you catch little Richie, right, listening to Cousin Brucie, he's not to be punished. This is a free pass. I'm responsible. I'd sign it. Yeah.
Those are great times. Those are great days.
Oh, yeah.
But did you see, but you would never have thought, but I know I couldn't have been the only kid that you met. You met a lot of kids, obviously, but you left this lasting impression on me that got me to not only want to do what you did, but got me so interested in radio that everything else just went out the window. And one of my first goals was to work in a building on 6th Avenue and 54th Street, like you did, to walk by that building, and every time, and I have pictures of myself as a little kid in front of that big ABC logo saying that one day I'm going to work here just like Cousin Brucie.
First of all, I was going to study medicine. To this day, I would go back to medical school. If somebody offered me a freshman or sophomore spot, I'd go back to medical school because I always loved playing doctor. And it sounds silly, but on East 26th Street in Brooklyn, I was the doctor on Saturdays. It was amazing. All the little girls would line up. We won't get into that now. I was a junior gynecologist. So
I still am.
By the time I got to, you took my shingle. By the time I got to high school, an English teacher thought I had some sort of talent. Now, I was a very shy kid. You got to understand this. I didn't even want to stand up in school, in the class. And I get my B's and my C's, and I tell the teacher, I'll do my homework. Please don't call me. Well, one day, one of the teachers, an English teacher, this is how it started, Rich, thought I had some sort of talent. And they invited me to audition for our hygiene play. Now, you got to understand, you're too young. Art is here, Art Vuolo is here, too young to know what hygiene plays are. See, in those days, we couldn't use the word sex. We couldn't use the word sex education. Because, that was a taboo. Forget about it. Church would go crazy. The principal would go nuts. It had to be hygiene. Now, what is hygiene? Now, hygiene, for my generation, they used to teach us how to wash under our arms, right? Clean our underwear and brush our teeth. That's why my generation is so screwed up. We'll never recover because we didn't have sex education. So I got on the stage. I garnered up all my energy and my nerve, and I auditioned for a part. And I got the part. Ask me what part I got.
Uh-oh. What was the part?
I was a cavity. A lot of people still think I'm a cavity on society. I'm not broadcasting. I was a cavity, and I got on there dressed in a big bad tooth. And while I was on that stage, something happened, Rich. Something happened. I felt the warmth coming from the audience and my warmth going to them. And after that, I've never stopped talking. I've never been shy again. I just loved it. And I knew that right away I was giving up my gynecological practice, which wasn't making me a lot of money anyhow. Right? Oh, a car once in a while, that's it. And I was going to go into broadcasting. So everything from then on was radio and television.
I got to tell you something. I wouldn't know what to do with my Saturday nights if I didn't do this. I've been doing this now, I think most people think from the year 1890. It is my love. It's my fun. I've been talking to millions of people, and I know a lot of you grew up with Cousin Brucie. I'm going to do this as long as that audience wants it. People will say, oh, why do you have to do this? You made so much money on radio stations, books, and movies. You know something? This is my love. I think of everything I've ever done, everything I'll be doing in the future, no matter what it is, movies or books or television. My number one happiness is radio. And I hope that you all feel the same way, too. I got to get back to work right now. Come on, let's have some more station breaks, fellas.
You've managed to stay in the same city for a number of years, while other people, are not as fortunate to be able to do something like that.
Well, let's take a look at the map here. My first job was in Bermuda. Down in Bermuda, paradise for two. I lost my true love in the blue. I lived a little over a year in Bermuda, and I brought rock and roll music to Bermuda. My nickname was, I wasn't Cousin Brucie in those days, but they used to call me the Hammer. The way I would talk with the music, because they really didn't have that music down there. So that once quiet place got screwed up because of me. And then I left Bermuda, and I came back to New York, and I was offered a job at WINZ here in Miami. I spent a year or so in Miami.
Just a year?
Yeah, just about a year. I left for a reason. First of all, I used to broadcast from Miami City on WINZ, which is now, I believe, a news outlet too, right? And I remember I was on top of the Biscayne Motor Hotel. Let's see if my brain is still working, if the file is still there. Hi, everybody. This is your Cousin Brucie. I was Cousin Brucie. Hi, everybody. This is your Cousin Brucie. We're broadcasting from high atop the beautiful Biscayne Motor Hotel overlooking beautiful Biscayne Bay. That's it. Son of a gun. It's still there. Yeah. And I spent a year in Miami. And then New York called. And they wanted Cousin Brucie back. And I went back. I was home. I went back home. I was very comfortable. I love Southern Florida. I'm very comfortable here. We have a lot of our people. I'm doing a show tomorrow night. And I'm sure it's going to be a big heck of a reunion. We can talk about that later. So I spent a year here, went back to New York, and I've been here ever since. But now, of course, I'm with Sirius XM on satellite. I'm reaching the whole hemisphere. I love it.
It's a whole different world.
Yeah, it is. It's very different.
All right, we'll talk about that and a lot more. You going to hang out for a little while?
Come on.
All right, good. Thank you so much for doing this.
I want to talk to I want some of the peeps to call.
This really means a lot to me. I mean, you have people lining up at the radio station, the people that work here that all have their own little Cousin Brucie story. Everybody's got one. And it's amazing because it's not just the tri-state area in New York. It's people that lived in, you just met the owner's son who was from North Carolina, and he's got stories because he used to be able to listen to you there. Everybody has at one time or another, if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or even 80s, knows who you are. And that's incredible.
It also has a downside. I can't make a dirty phone call.
All right, quick break. Back in a minute. You're listening to The Rich Stevens Show with Cousin Brucie. Actually, you should do this for me. You should take us into a break.
What are we going to do? Just tell me where we're going.
We're just going to take a quick break. Oh, we have a sponsor. We have to thank our friends Eric and the crew at Shelby's for the awesome lunch today.
I met them. I met the Shelby's.
Did you see the black and white cookies we had brought in for you?
How did they know that I love black and white cookies? Are we in Brooklyn called flying saucers?
There you go.
Now, he made one that weighs 85 pounds.
Did you see them? They're right here in this box. Pick up one of these cookies. I mean, they're incredible.
I'm going to pick up on Shelby. Oh, that is gorgeous. They're perfect. They're soft. Oh, wait a minute. I never saw a black and white cookie. Folks, I'm going to hold it up to the mic, and I'm going to take a chump out of this, and you go to the break, because I will not be able to talk after this. This is one of my biggest weaknesses. One.
I know.
You want to talk
We
about
did some research. There we go. Here we go. All right. How is it?
Perfect. Perfect. Texture, sweetness, density. Oh, you talk. Let me eat.
And it's like you're back in New York. Thanks to our friends at Shelby's. Eric, we really do appreciate the awesome lunch and the black and whites. Quick break. Back in a minute on Big Talk 850.
South Florida news all morning. Entertaining talk all day. Big Talk 850.
Same guy, new time. This is The Rich Stevens Show. Live, local, and still single. Now, here's Rich Stevens.
77 WABC.
Hi, everybody. Your Cousin Brucie. That almost makes me salivate when I hear that.
Me too.
With jingles. I'm still incorporating jingles on my Sirius satellite show. In fact, the guy down in Dallas, Texas, Jonathan Wolford, who did a lot of my original stuff on ABC and CBS FM, still does a lot of my jingles. I love it. I feel jingles are very much part of what we do. And I think people want to hear the talk, the music, and the jingles sort of give it the rhythm. It's really nice.
And it's amazing that all these years have gone by and that jingle sounds exactly the same in my mind. I mean, you can just play the first few notes of it and it instantly brings me back.
You know, Rich, there's an absolute belief that I have, and I've had this as my golden rule all my life. Familiarity breeds content. Now, what I mean by that is that when you fall in love or you are part of a culture like Cousin Brucie and you are at this radio station, you're part of people's existence. You're part of people's, what I call it, wallpaper, right? And there are certain things that you do that never, ever, ever you lose it. It gets ingrained. And that's what we do. My voice. Now, my voice, I'm sure there are lots of people listening right now. It's like a friend is back in their house. I'm in bed with people. I'm in showers with people. I'm in cars with people. What are you laughing at? Oh, he laughed when I said showers. The boss, the owner of the station, told me to talk to you about that.
No, it's funny you bring that up because I was asking this yesterday, and I asked my mother last night. I just remember that when we had this transistor radio, the radio was always kept in the bathroom. And I asked my mother, why was the radio in the bathroom? And she said, well, because we like to listen to the radio when we were getting ready. I said, but what about other times of the day? Because I guess back then people just, we just had that little transistor radio. You didn't have a big stereo system or anything. There was just one station that anybody knew of. It was either, growing up in New York, you either listened to WMCA or WNBC or WABC. Most people listened to WABC. There was a time when your ratings, the amount of people that were listening to you, was technically 1 in 4 people
it's kind of scary.
in the tri-state area knew what you were doing at any given time.
I know.
If you coughed on the radio, which was rare, but if you did, they knew you were sick, and people would walk up to you and say, oh, I'm sorry.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
I mean, this literally, you're absolutely right what happened. This is the way radio was, and radio should be, and a lot of it is. And the warmth, we're not just, I'm sitting here talking to you, but I know when I'm talking through these wires and wireless and digital stuff. I'm talking directly to people, right? I'm talking directly to people, and we are stimulating synapses there, and we're building images, and we're building warmth. We can tell people if things are good. We can tell people when things are bad. We can get every emotion. If we get angry or we get happy, we share that with people, and that's whatever this talent is.
Well, it's a great talent, and it rubbed off, hopefully, enough on me to get me where I am today. But I'm going to tell you how much it actually rubbed off. Until I was 13 years old, I really believed that we were related. I really thought that I was your cousin.
I get that a lot. I get that. And like an older person will say, we don't have any Cousin Brucie. What are you talking about?
But do you want to know how I know that we weren't related?
How?
When I was 13 years old, we actually sent an invitation to my bar mitzvah to you.
Did I come?
And we never got a reply.
Wait a minute.
And then I figured out it must have been because you had so many cousins. I wasn't the only cousin, and that's when my mother broke the news to me.
Did I send you a gift, at least a fountain pen? Did I send you anything?
I got a bumper sticker.
Oh, that's nice. That's good.
But I didn't have a car. But it's okay. It's the thought that counts. But I really wanted you to come to my bar mitzvah. That's how much the bond was between you coming out of that little tiny speaker and in real life. It was just incredible to me.
A great story, and let me enhance that a little bit, because this always meant a lot to me, and I'd love to talk to some of the people out there too, if we can, Rich. I'm going to take over your show, but I want to talk
That's
to people.
That's fine. 877-850-8585.
Talk to the guys. I'd love that. When a kid would run away, this is very important, and in my first book, I write about this. A child would run away. The parent would call me, right? They'd call the police, perhaps, but they'd call Cousin Brucie. That night, I'd get on the air and I'd say something like this: Johnny, listen, this is your Cousin Brucie. I know that you're listening to me. And they were. They all listened. I know you were listening to me. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to call me in a couple moments. I give the telephone number. And I promise you, I'll be there with you. You're not going to be in any trouble. There's not going to be any punishment. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm on your side. Okay? They'd call. And then the next day, I'd have the parents and Cousin Brucie and somebody else, I guess, would come up to make sure that everything's all right in the room, the lawyer, and I'd put them back together. Now, this happened dozens of times. I found once, I remember, it always sticks out of my mind, a whole Boy Scout group that decided they had enough school. Mrs. Wilson was driving them crazy. So we I went on the air, and they were lost somewhere in the Catskills, at Bear Mountain.
Yeah, I remember Bear Mountain.
I got them back.
That's incredible.
We sent the bus. But see, that's how important what you and I are doing. We're talking to people, and we are a bridge. We are a trust. We're a trust network to people, and people listen to us. And as I said, that's why it's a big responsibility, Rich. And I assume, put your right hand up. Do you accept this responsibility?
I do.
I accept it. You're going to get your diploma. We have a huge responsibility, and it's essential that there are some of us that take this very seriously.
And when you have the power, and the thing that's so cool about working at this radio station, Big Talk 850, is we have what you had, the 50,000 watts of power behind the radio station. So people can be listening to us right now in Puerto Rico, or in the Bahamas, or in Hobe Sound, or in Fort Myers, or, of course, here in Fort Lauderdale and in West Palm Beach. And the signal covers more than we ever imagined.
Amazing. When I was working in Miami on AM, we used to reach Jamaica, and I got so popular in Jamaica that every weekend I made a deal with Deno and Getty's Red Stripe Beer and Pepsi Cola. And every weekend they'd fly me down there to do Cousin Brucie shows. Got very popular in Jamaica, and every once in a while I do a record hop from a place called the Glass Bucket in Kingston, and I came up with a new dance called the Carolina. Boy, all this, I'm talking to you. What's going on here? All my machines, my files are unloading on me. This is a great life. Let's talk to people, Rich. Come on.
All right, let's do this. I want to hear about how you got the Four Seasons to do your show intro, because I have a show intro, but it's nothing like the Four Seasons. And then we'll go to some phone calls at 877-850-8585. And, I feel like this reminds me of the first time I was on the radio in New York. I was a nervous wreck. I was literally so nervous because I knew my boss at the time, Scott Shannon, who you know also.
Yes, terrific talent.
Was listening and hanging on every word. So I was the same nervousness as I am now. And then when I left Z100 to go to WPLJ across the street, and Larry Berger was the PD, the program director, and I was even more nervous. And the same feeling I haven't had since I worked in New York until right now. So you know.
That's right. Look, I appreciate that, but there's nothing to be nervous. I am, as you hear and as you see, that's what I am. All right, and I love what I do, and I'm a very lucky guy that's able to transmit thoughts and emotions and be accepted in people's homes and showers. I love showers.
I know. I noticed that.
I'm very clean.
All right, let's take a quick break. If you want to talk to Cousin Brucie, 877-850-8585, 877-850-8585. I can't wait to hear what kind of questions you got.
Yeah, me too.
Right after this, you're listening to The Rich Stevens Show on Big Talk 850.
Broadcasting from Fort Lauderdale, using 50,000 watts of power to serve all of South Florida. We are Big Talk 850, WFTL, Miami, Boca, West Palm Beach.
Now, here's Rich Stevens.
77 WABC.
Hi, everybody. This is your Cousin Brucie here on The Rich Stevens Show on 850 Big Talk Radio. I'm your Cousin Brucie, and I would love to invite you to call me. If you get a busy signal, and you probably will, please hang up and dial it again. I want to talk to you. Hey, Rich, this is very nice. I feel so comfortable here. You made me feel very much at home.
Well, thank you. And you made me feel like I'm back in New York. I feel like the little kid meeting you at Palisades again. I really do. I honestly do.
Well, listen, I spent a year down here. I left Florida. One day, it was around Christmas time. It's kind of a funny story. And I saw Santa Claus under a palm tree wearing Bermuda red shorts. And I said, that's it. I'm out of here. But then I realized years later, wait a minute, Christmas happened in the desert. So that guy was right. He was right wearing Bermuda shorts under a palm tree. That's where Christmas started.
Here
not
you
with
see
all
everything.
the snow and mistletoe,
All right, let's take some of these calls. 877-850-8585, 877-850-8585. I can't imagine everyone wants to talk to Cousin Brucie.
I love it.
Let's go to John and Stuart. How are you today?
Fine. Hey, Cousin Brucie, I love you, cuz.
Thank you, Cousin John. Love you, too. So you live in Stewart. What do you do, John?
Oh, I'm retired now, and I listened to you over 50 years ago on my little transistor radio in southern Maryland.
Wow.
And I had to wait till after dark to pick up your station and listen to you.
Because, in those days, because of the AM characteristics, we used to bounce off the ionosphere, and I'd reach 40-some-odd states, and I got so popular in Lima, Peru, that the owner of the network there, Mr. Escarga, offered me a show in Espanol, which I didn't speak. So you want to hear what I did? Want to hear what I did? Yeah, I hired my Hispanic custodian, and I said to him, "I'm going to pay you $50 a week," and it's a lot of money in those days. How do you say, "I'm so happy to be here" in Spanish? How do you say, "This is my sponsor" in Espanol? So I did that phonetically, and I did that for about 2 years. And that's about when they paid me for the first time. So I decided that was it. Adios, amigo. Anyway, listen, you use the R word, which I will not recognize. It's fine to be retired, but you keep yourself busy, right, John?
Yes, sir. Hey, I got 2 questions for you.
Wait a minute, hold it.
Hold
it. You're not going to get away with this so fast. You keep yourself busy, right? That means you help people, you volunteer. Just tell me yes. And if you don't,
I do.
All right, now you can
ask
your question.
Well, how old are you?
Okay.
Can your manager let that out? I still listen to you on the radio on the on MI.
Well, listen, John, why don't you just do the math? When you were listening to him 50 years ago, he was 12, and it's 2013, and it's 50 years. So just do the math and add them together.
Unfortunately for me and for him, well, not for me, but you can go on any, you can Google Cousin Brucie, and you'll find that I was born in 1836. You know something? I'm a very lucky guy. I still look pretty young, and you know what keeps me young? My music and people like yourself.
You look exactly the same, by the way.
That's it.
When
I'm very lucky. Somebody always asks me where the painting is, I have tremendous energy. It's not baloney. What you hear is what I am, and I'm a very lucky man. I'm doing a show tomorrow at let's see, Florida Atlantic University.
FAU.
And it was, as they say, Boca Raton. And you come on if you're there. I think it's all sold out, but people will see, and they always look at me the same thing, and I know what people are saying. How can that guy look so young when I know he's 5 years older than I am? What happened? I'm a very lucky man. And I have a beautiful wife, Jody, who keeps me young.
Your whole family's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's go to Lou and Delray. How are you today?
Hey, Cousin Brucie.
Hi, Cousin Lou. Hiya, Lou.
The first dance, how you doing, brother? You sound the same. You haven't changed, man. No. And I danced my first dance with a girl listening to your radio on the little AM. There was no FM that I could afford back then. It was Ray Charles, You Don't Know Me.
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, just a minute. That is a very ballady, sexy song. Now, did you do the fish to that one? You remember that, you son of a gun?
The nuns were around, and we couldn't do too much of the bumping and grinding, but it was the best flow song I ever did.
I remember those dances.
I still remember the girl's name, Lynn Southworth.
Maybe she's listening out there. Hey, sweetheart, he misses you. I remember the assistant principals and the nuns always at all the dances I used to do. All right, separate. I need 11 inches. Separate.
But I remember one thing that stuck in my mind, because you were part of my whole childhood. In fact, after I got drafted and came back, it was your voice was just as familiar as my mother and father.
Wow.
But you remember when they did that call, Cousin Brucie, Cousin Brucie, and then the guy at the end would scream it out?
Now, let me tell you something that's going to make you, I'm going to warm your heart with something I'm going to tell you. And not too many people know this. I don't talk about it too often. But the second voice from the end is my daddy. Now, listen to this. Every time that's on the air, now, Rich, I don't know if you know, but every time I do my shows to this day, Cousin Brucie, and then the fourth voice, I think, is my father, right? Cousin Brucie. The one before that, he's my dad. So my dad, I lost him many years ago. So every night in my earphones, in my ear, I hear my father saying my name to me. And it really just rips me sometimes when I really give it thought, because I know he's there. Maybe, in fact, maybe he's doing it live now, for all I know.
That's incredible. Thanks for your call, Lou. Have a good day. Let's go to Ira and Boynton, 877-850-8585.
Ira.
Brucie, I can't believe I'm actually speaking to my old childhood friend.
Well, that's good. Where are you now? What town do you live in?
I'm in West Boynton Beach.
Okay. I know where that is. In fact, my daughter Meredith is driving me around the whole area. West Boynton, there's two Georges near there?
That's in Boynton.
Yes, we had lunch there yesterday with some friends of ours, the Felds, Stanley and Diana Feld. So we're renewing acquaintances. And the nicest part is talking to you on the air. You have something you want to tell me or ask me?
Well, first I'd like to tell you that, yes, I shared a lot with Rich Stevens. I had you on my transistor radio, and I was in the bathroom, and after a half hour, there'd be a knock on the door, and I'd yell out,
and they'd
I'll
say,
be right out, Mom.
Yeah, they'd be, what are you doing in there? What are you doing in there? I remember those days.
I can't talk right now. I'm listening to something. I'll be right out.
That's so cute.
Brucie, where are you living now?
Well, I'm in Manhattan. I'm with Sirius XM. I'm on every week on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'm on Channel 6. And then, of course, I travel a lot, so I'm with my cousin Rich and people like this all over the nation. Now that I reach, this whole hemisphere, I'm invited all over. It's wonderful. My life is just quadrupled in love and what I do, and I never thought at this tender age, and you can Google it too if you want, right? At this tender age, I'd be flying on top of a satellite all over the world.
It's incredible, and thank you so much for being here in the studio. We have one more segment to go. Every phone line is lit up, so obviously people still, to this day, show an emotion towards a man that, you've touched so many lives. I don't even know. And I know this is the kind of thing that after you leave the studio today, it hasn't really sunk in to me personally yet, but it will. And I'll be driving home, and all of a sudden it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. Cousin Brucie was just here on my show.
I feel I'm the luckiest guy on Earth, and even out of Earth, because we are reaching all over the planets now, all over the place. I owe so much to this audience, and I know it. And that's why everyone feels very safe with me, because it's returned. That emotion, that love, that knowing each other is returned in spades.
Cousin Brucie, Bruce Morrow in the studio right here on The Rich Stevens Show. Quick break. Your calls. We'll get to the last segment right here on Big Talk 850. Hang on.
I am having such a good time. Hi, everybody. This is your Cousin Brucie, South Florida, and all ships at sea and helicopters and whatever you're on. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you. There's a very lovely bunch of people called Shelby's out here, and they cater. They do food, and I have the biggest black and white. You know what black and white is? If you don't, you're missing something. Someone looked like a mouse was here a few moments. I'm sorry.
A Cousin Brucie mouse.
There's the biggest black and white I've ever seen in my life.
Hold it up to the camera here.
Yeah, Art Vuolo's taking pictures. Shelby's, by the way, their turkey is magnificent. My wife is a turkey. Jody is a turkey maven, and she's given me the 5 sign right now. It's really great. And thank you so much to Ham and Cheese. And thank you so much for catering. I didn't expect this to be your bar mitzvah.
Here you go. We're making up for it a few years later. All right, 877-850-8585. In the studio, the legendary radio personality in person, Cousin Brucie. How does it feel to be referred to as legendary? Because you truly are legendary.
A little scary because that means you're old.
But you don't look old.
No, I don't.
You certainly don't sound old.
And I don't feel old. But let me tell you, I can still climb them and outdance them. Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's try to get through as many of these calls as we can. 877-850-8585. Let's try to limit it to one quick story or question so we can get to every single line. And we'll start with Linda in Fort Lauderdale. You're on with Cousin Brucie.
Hi, Linda.
Hey, Cousin Brucie, how are you?
Good. I love your song. Linda, when I go to sleep, I never count sheep. I say to myself, move over, Linda. Hi, Linda.
Well, you see, speaking of sleep, Cousin Brucie, I went to bed with you for many, many years when I was a little girl living in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Now you know why, Rich. Now you know why I'm so happy. I've been to bed with more beautiful women. Yeah, that is nice because you know what you're saying. I know you're not being overly erotic about this, but you know the idea of being so intimate with people makes me feel so great. It makes me want to carry on like this. I love that idea.
Well, you know, and the funny thing is, when I moved to Florida right before my sophomore year in high school, I was so sad, and I missed my friends so much in New York that one night I turned on my clock radio that was still by my bed, and oddly enough, it was tuned to 77 WABC, and the next thing I knew, I was listening to Cousin Brucie, all the way in Florida.
Yep, it's like an old friend. That signal was AM radio was an amazing signal, like this 850 is. It bounces off the ionosphere, and as it gets later, it goes further and further. I got so popular on WABC in Europe that I had and in Lima, Peru. But it's so nice to be able to talk to people all over the world, and a lot of transplants, and make a lot of new friends. Well, good. I'm so glad that we're still together, and that you have these nice, warm memories, shall we say, maybe?
I can tell. 877-850-8585. Rick and Sunrise, you're on with Cousin Brucie.
Hey, Cousin Brucie, the fifth Beatle.
Oh, all right, Cousin Rick. They never, I'll tell you a little secret. That's not too much of a secret. They never liked that. The John, Paul, George, and Ringo, he's referring to any of the DJs that used to become hangers-oners to the Beatles. And we all in the 64, 65, 66 wanted to be the fifth Beatle. I never really tried to do that because I got very friendly with the guys, and being on this huge radio station, what they call WABC, as you know, we were there with them all the time. And if Rich and I had about 2 hours, I tell you some very amazing stories.
I think you're going to have to come back.
We'll come back, and I'll
I'd
tell
love
you.
to hear 'em.
Yeah, I got some great stories about the Beatles. But, as I said, the fifth Beatle thing, they never really liked that much. They like people, and I got along with them great, because I never took advantage of a friendship like that.
877-850-8585. Mary in Lake Worth, you're on with Cousin Brucie.
Hi, Cousin Brucie.
Hey, Miss Mary. Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
How are you?
Great. Feeling good. How can I not be good? I'm with my family here.
Well, I just wanted to tell you real quick that I'm from Watchung, New Jersey, and I grew up listening to you on the weekends, and I listened faithfully all day long, Saturday and Sunday, in my father's car.
Oh,
and
that's it.
And your music was so loud, I'd have it blasting, and he'd always peek in to make sure I... But I really enjoyed listening to you all the time.
Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. Thanks for those sharing the memories.
Let's go to Danny in West Palm. Thanks for waiting. You're on with Cousin Brucie.
Bruce, how you doing? Listen, God bless you.
Thank you.
A long time ago, about 50 years, I'm from 2 towns over from Watchung. I'm from Plainfield, New Jersey. You made a guest appearance behind the Bambergers, and the crowd was so rowdy, you had to leave. You never even got to speak.
You're right. I'll never forget. Let me tell you what. Isn't that funny? Because as you said, my eyes got bigger. My dad, God bless him, was with me. My dad always thought he was my bodyguard until he was about 95. He was my bodyguard. And that day, somebody, I don't know if you remember this, because the police had to escort me out of town. I think they want to get rid of me. But my dad was near me, and it was a warm day. And somebody baked me this mushy layer cake about 6 inches tall. Well, they came at me with it. My father got scared. He moved, and the cake went flying. Hit my father square in the head and dripped him down, and I got hysterical, and I got creamed.
Wow.
I'll never forget that place, yeah.
877-850-8585. Let's go to Larry in Lighthouse Point. Thanks for waiting.
Hi, Larry.
Hello, Cousin Brucie. I've been meaning to ask this question ever since I've been listening to you on XM radio, which is a long time. I'm 68, born in New Jersey. As they say before, it became a federal offense to be born there. But if I sang these 4 lines, would you know who I'm talking about? Hello again, here's my best to you. Are your skies all gray? I hope they're blue. Let me sing my song to you. Hello, hello again.
Hello again, here's my best to you. Are your skies all gray? I hope they're blue. Let me sing my song to you. Pass on a smile and the rainbow to you. Hello. Hello again.
That's Herb Oscar Anderson, HOA.
Yeah, that's how far back I go.
Yeah, well, HOA lives in southern Florida, somewhere in Florida. I bet you.
Oh, really?
He could be listening right now. He's still active. He does a show, understand? And he appears, I know, at a lot of senior citizen homes, and he does benefits, and he's terrific. I talk to him every once in a while, and we communicate with email. Right? And he's still Herb Oscar. He's a big bull. A big bull.
The number one question, though, I really did have for you before I thought of Herb Oscar, no offense intended, but my favorite of all time And I was wondering if he's still alive, what happened to him, was Kemosabe Big Dan Ingram.
Back to 1959. That was 33 years ago. You were one, huh? Sure you were. Right. Dion and the Belmonts on CBS FM 101.1.
Each time we have a quarrel, why must I be a teenager?
Dion, the Belmonts on CBS FM 101.1, New York's oldie station. Right.
And that's not an offense. It happens to be a really great one because one of the guys I listened to when I was a kid was Dan. He'd love me to say that. I get that all the time. Dan is retired. I believe he lives down here too, right? And he's just taking it easy, and he's fine. He's taking it easy. Hasn't been on the air for many years, and he's enjoying his life. I'm really the only one, I guess, because I was the kid on the block. And I can't stop. I really can't stop because of people like yourself, and I love what I do.
You were the Justin Bieber of the 60s and 70s on the radio. Cousin Brucie, Bruce Morrow, it's been a pleasure to have you in the studio. Unfortunately, you know what that music means. We're out of time.
I sure do.
Will you look me in the eye and tell me you'll promise to come back and do the Rich Stevens show again?
And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at our show tomorrow at the Atlantic
FAU.
University.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Really a pleasure, and thanks so much for listening to Big Talk 850.
Broadcasting from Fort Lauderdale, using 50,000 watts of power to serve all of South Florida. We are Big Talk 850, WFTL, Miami, Boca, West Palm Beach.